Yo, what is up? It is your boys that are back with a brand new What If. Now, as you can see from the title, this is going to be What If Deku had Jake Long's powers. A lot of you guys may be wondering who that is, and from the picture, some of you guys may already know who this is. For those of you who already know, this is definitely going to be a little bit of a blast from the past What If. I was thinking about my childhood yesterday when out of nowhere I was like, yo, that guy with the dragon powers. I was like, what's he called? He reminded me of Deku, and I was like, there's no way that I don't do this. I was supposed to drop a different What If today, but I figured that better do this now before somebody else does this and they blow up because of this video. But yeah, that being said, let's go ahead and get started. So boys, to explain Jake Long's powers, he basically can turn into a dragon. He has fire breathing, ice breathing, claws, wings, magic. He has a lot of things that are pretty OP. Some of you guys may not even have known that he had ice, like me. I didn't even know that until I looked him up yesterday, and I basically was like, oh, he has ice. But yeah, that being said, let's go ahead and really get started into this one. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. This story all takes place when Deku was at the Quirk Doctor. Deku will be at the Quirk Doctor, and the doctor will proceed to look at him and say, young man, I'm sorry to tell you this, but you're quirkless. Deku's life will shatter before his eyes as he begins to think, no, I can't be quirkless. Like, I have to have some type of quirk. I've always been stronger than everybody and faster. Like, I have to have an enhancement quirk, right? As the doctor will tell him, no, from the charts here, it says that you have your pinky toe. Deku will proceed to get a little saddened by this. Deku will go home, and about 1 week later, Deku will be just playing around with the kids after he had told Bakugo and them that he was quirkless, except this time, Bakugo didn't bully him for it. He said, well, Izuku, you're still pretty cool to me, quirk or without one. And Deku would actually smile. They would actually stay friends, and this is when one day they would actually all be playing around, crossing the bridge, when Bakugo would be flailing his explosions around, when suddenly Deku has fire breathing out of his mouth. Everybody sees this and they're like, whoa, Deku, you have a fire quirk. As Bakugo sees this, he's like, Deku has a fire quirk. I have an explosion quirk. We're gonna be the greatest heroes. As they all rush to Midoriya's house and they take him there. As soon as he gets there, Deku has a little bit of fire just coming out of his mouth, like coughing as he's like, and like just some fireballs just shoot out. And Go will see this and be like, what the heck? As she rushes him to the Quirk Doctor. Now the doctor will proceed to be astonished. He'll be like, I have no clue what is going on. Like, this doesn't happen normally. And to explain how he got his powers, guys, Inko's side of the family, if you guys have seen the American Jake Long, Inko's side of the family will actually be the ones who inherited the magic ability of turning into a dragon, and it was a long lost thing that one of her previous families had forgotten about. It's been about it's been about 100 years ever since the last dragon had ever came along, and Deku was the next one. Deku was the next in line. It had apparently skipped Inko and all of the rest of the relatives, and it had gone straight to Deku. So that's how he's gonna get his powers. For those of you who are wondering. And yes, Inko side because of the green hair. Yeah, I know some of you guys may be like, it's because of the green hair, isn't it? And yes, it is. The Quirk Doctors will just sum it up to Deku having a quirk just like his father's. They'll tell him that, wow, you have your father's quirk, I guess. Like, this chart must be wrong. Like, we must have messed something up. Sorry about that. And Izuku would actually go home extremely happy this time, thinking, I have my dad's quirk. I can become a hero. As he goes back to school and all of the kids are asking what's going on, Deku will tell them that he has basically a fire quirk that enhances his base abilities, and he has enhanced strength along with it. The kids will be like, whoa, that's awesome. And Deku will be like, yeah, I know. Deku will proceed to train with this for a little over, let's go ahead and until he's about 10 years old. At about the 10-year mark, Deku and Bakugo would have actually grown to be very, very, very close friends. Now, this means that Bakugo would be just a tad bit less of a jerk. He wouldn't be that much of a dickhead anymore since he has Deku there to bring him down to earth every time that he thinks he's the best. Because I'm just gonna say it now, At this point, without transforming into a dragon, he doesn't know that yet, he has enhanced strength. So his base physical strength is 10% of One For All. I know, that's a little broken, but my what if. He has a base strength of 10% of One For All strength, and he also has the fire breathing, so that's really all there is to it. He has fire-based abilities, and he can engulf his hands, his feet, and he can shoot it out of his mouth by roaring, just like a dragon up until this point. Now, this is when Deku will actually be playing around with Bakugo, just kind of messing around with each other, when Deku and Bakugo will proceed to be on top of a roof. Now, Deku and Bakugo will actually be training when, out of nowhere, Bakugo hits him with an accidental explosion, sending Deku falling off the rails of the building and falling down, plummeting to his supposed death. Now, when Deku's falling, he'll be like, no, I can't, as he then begins to turn into a dragon, and his whole body begins to turn into red scales with green hair on him. Now, this is when Deku will be like, what? And he'll be flying in midair. Bakugo will be watching this as he's like, cool, as he gets down of the building, flying with its explosions to the ground, as he says, Zuko, are you okay? As Deku's just like, yeah, I'm fine, as he looks at his hands and he's like, whoa, I have claws. And he looks at himself, he's like, am I a dragon? As Deku begins to fly up into the air, he's like, woohoo! As he begins to fly around, and Bakugo just watching this, kind of smirking, thinking, I always knew there was something more to your quirk, Deku. It was off that you were this strong with just a fire quirk. And Deku would actually fly home, leaving Bakugo there to wonder what had actually gone on. And Deku would proceed to go to the quirk doctor when they tell him that he has a quirk called actually, what would the quirk be called? You know, guys, I'm gonna let you guys pick the name of the dragon quirk. You guys can go ahead and pick the original American Jake Long transformation name, or you guys can go ahead and make something else of your choice. Whatever I think is the best, I'll end up going with. But yeah, this is when Deku will actually get home to his mom, and she'll be like, whoa, Deku, you're a dragon. As Deku's like, yeah. They end up going to the quirk doctor, and they tell him that I guess it's one of his other abilities. He can turn into a dragon, and he has fire breath. That must be where the fire had come from, as well as the enhanced strength. It must have been a hidden potential within him that was activated because of a crisis situation. Deku tells him that he was actually sparring with Bakugo on the roof when suddenly Bakugo accidentally threw Deku off. Inko would be a little mad at this and be like, oh, the Bakugo. As Deku's like, don't worry, Mom, it's fine. Like, he helped me discover this new part of my quirk. As Deku just gets happy and he's like, I can become a great hero. Me and Bakugo are gonna be the greatest heroes of all time. As he goes back to Bakugo, and from this point on, Bakugo as well as Deku begin to train on their own, honing their abilities. At this point, Deku will actually be about 10 years old, and we're gonna go ahead and have a time skip up until they're both 15. The day where the teacher walks in and budges in with things. Up around this point, Bakugo's explosions would actually be about 2 times stronger than they were in canon, as well as having the finesse and more of a like outside of the box way of using his quirk. I'm also gonna give him explosions from the bottom of his feet too, because why not? I like that idea. But yeah, he's also gonna have explosions from his feet too, so kind of like Adola Burst, I think it is, from little firefighters anime or some shit like that. sorry if you guys like that and I just completely butchered it, but yeah, that's essentially what'll happen. So during this time, Deku's dragon transformation would have definitely helped him a lot. 5 years later, Deku would have actually mastered his transformation, and now he can by will turn into a dragon on and off whenever he feels like it. His dragon form is actually 50% of the strength of One For All. I know, pretty insane. And his fire breathing is kind of like Natsu, like if you could think of Fire Dragon Roar. So yeah, he can also coat himself with a layer of fire with his hands and his fists and legs to kick and punch faster. He has the ability to eat fire, which actually increases his strength. I know, I ripped that off, but you know, it seems pretty dope. I mean, dragon, come on now. He also has flight with his wings and magic. Now, magic is what's going to give him these abilities. He'll also have the dragon claws, and he'll also have enhanced healing, since, as a dragon who heals very, very quickly. He can also shoot scales off of his body. It's kind of like with the tail. Like, he can flick it at somebody and it'll shoot little scales at them that are very sharp. He also has an amazing combat prowess, since he's actually been training ever since he found out about his quirk. So he would have actually had 10 years to focus on training his body. So base Deku would actually be extremely ripped. He'd be around Bakugo level ×2, and Bakugo would Deku and Bakugo would be around the same build, with Deku being just a tiny bit stronger. Bakugo would have gone for a little bit more of a lean look, and Deku would have gone for a little bit of a bulky and lean at the same time. So bulky and lean, think Garo from One Punch Man. That's kind of his body type, and Deku he'll be ripped. I'm just saying now, he'll be ripped. His weaknesses during that time will actually include his left ear, as well as magic attacks. Luckily for him, nobody uses magic in this world. So, yeah. Now, as for Bakugo, as I had already explained, he'd be around season 4 level with a 2x boost to his explosions. It's when the teacher will actually begin to walk into the class and throw the papers into the air saying, "I know you all want to become heroes!" To which the class responds by flaring their quirk, and Bakugo as well as Izuku get up saying, "We're gonna be the best of the best, teach. You can count on it." As the teacher says, "Yeah, I see you guys wanted to go to UA." As the rest of the class is just thinking, "That's the Nationals. They want to go to UA?" As Deku and Bakugo are like, "We can do it, and we promise to become the greatest heroes of all time." As Bakugo and Deku kind of have their quirks flaring, as Bakugo blasts an explosion from his left hand, and Deku's right beside him, flaring some fire from his right. As they look towards the class, and the class is just excited like, "Woo!" They're just excited for them. This is when Bakugo will ask him if he wants to go train, but Deku will actually tell him that he actually has to get home to his mom. She told him that he should get home early today, so Deku ends up taking a different path than he does in the original canon. This is when Deku will be walking, and out of nowhere, he'll notice that the sewage just looks a little off. So as he's walking, the sludge villain will appear out of nowhere like, "Give me your body, kid." As Deku turns into a dragon and flies into the air, the sludge will try to lunge at him into the air, but he can't reach him. This is when Deku will be like, "You need to chill out." As Deku shoots a roar at him, boiling the sludge villain, hurting him because this is burning him. Like, he's sludge, and I'm pretty sure he can still be burned. So he begins to boil him, and steam begins to rub off of the sludge villain as Deku basically just keeps going and intensifies the heat up until the sludge villain's like, "I give up. Stop." And Deku's like, "All right." Miraculously, after that happens, All Might pops up out of nowhere, and he's like, "I am here." As Deku's like, "All Might!" And All Might's like, "Who are you?" As Deku says, "Oh," and he transforms back into a human and falls onto the ground. He's like, "Sorry, my name is Deku Midoriya. I'm a big fan, All Might." And All Might asks, "Did you do this to the sludge villain?" And Deku's like, "Yeah, he tried doing something about taking my body or something like that." As All Might just has a big grin on his face, thinking, "Wow, this kid is going to be something when he grows up." As he kind of reminds him of Ryuk, the dragon hero. And Deku's just like, "Oh, yeah, something like that." As All Might's like, "Well, kid, glad to meet you. I hope you get into the UA course," as Deku told him that he's going to become a hero. And All Might begins to jump off. Deku would have gotten the autograph and would have actually been walking home when he was actually very close, about 1 block away, when suddenly you can hear an explosion coming from not too far away, about 7 blocks away. Deku will hear that and immediately think, "This is bad," as he turns into a dragon form and flies there immediately. He's in the sky, flapping his wings, creating a strong amount of wind pressure as the civilians look up and see a dragon. This is when Deku will turn into his human form and fall right in front of the sludge villain, as it has Bakugo captive, and All Might is watching this thinking, "Damn it, how could I have been so dumb to drop the sludge villain?" As Deku sees Bakugo, and he's like, "I'm not playing these games." Deku would proceed to breathe ice out of nowhere. Deku would proceed to breathe ice. He would actually be trying to breathe fire, but ice would come out of his mouth. Yes, sir. He has ice magic now, boys. So, yeah. Deku has ice at this point, and this is going to definitely help him out in the long run. During the next couple, he would basically take out the sludge villain, freezing a big portion of it, causing the sludge villain to surrender, and then breathing fire on it after doing that by accident. Bakugo would get saved, and he would get praised, as well as Deku, for being such an amazing, not yielding to the sludge villain and letting him win. And Deku would be praised for the amount of strength that he showed, and the heroes would tell him that he could go pro if he wanted to, that he could go to their agencies. Deku would basically not really take any of their offers and walk home. This when All Might would turn around the corner and be like, "Young man, you showed great potential of being a hero." This when All Might would proceed to tell him about All for One, as well as his quirk, as Deku would proceed to tell him, "Well, that's a great offer. That's a great offer, All Might, but I'm gonna have to decline. I want to become a hero by my own merit, and I don't want to use your quirk to become that. Also, I think you should give the quirk to somebody else, so we can have strong pro heroes, so that it's not just one very strong one." All Might would think about this and be like, "You got a point." As he would then tell Deku that he would be glad to train Deku, as Deku's like, "Really?" As Deku, All Might, and Bakugo now begin training during the 10 months. The 10 months, Deku will actually end up using them to basically practice on his ice powers. He'll practice how to use them, and he'll practice his ice breath, as well as a couple other abilities that he has, including. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I kind of forgot some of the powers, including the rest of them. He would actually end up getting way stronger powers, and he would actually develop his his strength in terms of physical raw power. After the 10 months, Deku would actually be at around 70% of One for All strength, with having fire and ice breathing capabilities. He wouldn't actually be able to surround himself with ice like he does with the fire, but the ice breath would be all that he needs in terms of ice powers. Deku would just be very, very, very strong. And what else does he need? So yeah, in terms of that, that's really all that he ends up getting. Oh, also, he has duplication. He learns duplication. He can create doubles of himself during the 10-month arc, and he gets increased hearing, or increased senses, I guess you could say. Including the senses, that just means that it's harder for him to hit him, and his already amazing fighting capabilities go up by an immense amount. He would also end up getting the doubles, and that meaning that Deku could actually create mirages, I guess you could say, of himself, or physical clones. I'm not gonna make him too broken, so he can only create 3 of them. Now, he can create 3 doppelgangers of himself with his magic abilities, and that's all that he would basically have gotten for the 10 months. In terms of who ended up getting One for All, you guys, should I get into it or not? What time are we at? 18 minutes. You know what? Bakugo gets One for All. Bakugo's not a dick in this series, so I hope that doesn't bother you guys. But yeah, Bakugo ends up getting One for All, giving him a 4 times boost to his explosions. No, a 2 times boost on top of the other 2 times boost, so he'd be like 4 times stronger than in canon, as well as being able to use, let's say 13% of One for All off rip. Bakugo would have actually trained for the first 8 months in using One for All in one part of his body, but after the last 2, he had actually ended up training with full cowling, so that would have actually helped him a lot in terms of robots and all that. So yeah, now let's go ahead and get into the UA entrance exams. Deku and Bakugo would say their goodbyes to All Might on the very last day of their training, as Deku and Bakugo would proceed to walk up there. This time, Deku actually wouldn't end up bumping into Uraraka, or anybody for that matter, and would just go inside and take the test. In terms of how he did, in terms of the little UA thing, UA test, Deku would have actually passed the written exam with the exact same score that he did in canon. And in terms of the fighting portion, I got y'all right now. In terms of the fighting portion, things definitely change. Now, Deku would arrive there, and this is when he would actually be walking towards the front, when suddenly Ida would stop him, telling him, "Hey, don't distract that girl." As Deku's about to say, "I wasn't even going to," as Ida says, "that is very disrespectful. You should not get involved with other classmates and try to ruin their chances to get into UA." Deku would hear this and be like, "Listen, man, I'm not even trying to get I'm not even trying to get up to her. I'm just trying to get to the front." As Ida would be like, "Oh, my apologies then. I shouldn't have interrupted in there." And Deku's like, no shit, you shouldn't have. As Deku just walks up to the front. And this is when the gates will actually open. But Deku will have another plan. He'll rush in there full speed. And his base strength would be about 15% full cowling at this point. So Deku will run in there as fast as possible as he then runs in and turns into a dragon and flying straight through robots, destroying tons and tons of them. Deku would proceed to get 1,500 and... Okay, no, that's too broken. Deku would proceed to get, let's go with 900 and... He would end up getting 969 points in the destruction portion. Deku would have ran into the entrance exam, destroying robots left and right using his fire and ice breath, smashing through a couple of them and shooting his scales at some of them, destroying their circuits and making them explode. All of the rest of the bystanders would actually be watching, thinking, this kid is insane, he's off the rails. As Alma would be in there watching him with a smile, thinking, that's Zuko for you. As the rest of the test takers are just watching in awe, as Ida's just like, I'm not gonna mess with that kid anymore. As Deku proceeds to destroy robot after robot, using all of his abilities and powers to the best that he can, when suddenly the 0 pointer comes in. This one you will actually see Uraraka trapped under some rubble, and Deku would proceed to rush in there and save her. When he saves her, he would actually grab her first and take her into the air before the 0 pointer could actually crush her, and would have her flying with him next to him by his waist. Uraraka would actually be blushing this entire time, thinking, who is this guy? As Deku would proceed to go, Ice Dragon, roar! Just kidding, he wouldn't do that, but he would shoot a giant ice roar at the 0 pointer, causing the 0 pointer to freeze its limbs, and the 0 pointer would try to pick up its leg as it snaps off and the 0 pointer begins to fall onto the ground. Deku would have handled that rather easily, and this is when he would take Uraraka back to Recovery Girl. He would then basically go off back home, and once he arrives back home, he would actually tell his mother how he did. Now, she would actually be fairly confident that her son got in, since she's seen what he can do, and Deku would proceed to just celebrate with his mom, thinking, yeah, we definitely got in. The day of the letter would arrive, and Deku would actually get the letter and be told that, yes, he indeed got in. This is when the day of the UA exam, the UA school would actually arrive. And when Deku is walking up to the class, you'll see that it's a giant door. He would then think, is there giants in this class or something? As he then thinks, probably. I can turn into a dragon, so I wouldn't be surprised. As he walks in and sees Ida just bagging on Bakugo, and to the left of him, he sees a very, very, very pretty girl with blue eyes and blonde hair in a ponytail. Some of you guys may be knowing who this is, but some of you guys may not. This is when Deku would actually proceed to... Deku would proceed to... Deku would proceed to just walk up to Ida and be like, hey dude, can you please leave him alone? He's not doing anything to bother you. As Ida's like, he's disrespecting school. As he looks at Deku and he's like, oh, you're the kid. He's like, sorry for being rude to you during that day, and you are a superior student to me, just doing all that bullshit. Suddenly Uraraka walks in behind him and he's like, hey, thank you for saving me. As Deku says, it was no problem. This is when Deku would actually look towards the girl with the blonde hair and blue eyes, and he would be like, hey, what's your... As Aizawa gets up and he's like, if you're here to make friends, I suggest you leave. We have 3 years to mold you into heroes, and that's all we have. Doing his usual thing. Uraraka would point out the orientation, but Aizawa would tell her that they don't have time for that in the hero course. As they all proceed to get changed, and Deku and everybody else would actually be talking about how ripped Deku and Bakugo are. They'd be talking about how insane their powers are, and Bakugo and Deku would just kind of be smirking at each other, just thinking, damn, I know. Around this time, Mineta would actually be trying to poke through one of the holes in the wall, and Deku would breathe ice onto it, covering it up, and basically give Mineta a little bit of a death stare. As Mineta's like, haha, sorry about that. As Deku proceeds to walk out. When he walks out, he sees that girl again, this time looking even cuter. Now, for those of you who don't know, this is Melissa Shield. I know, some of you guys may have been thinking that this is Rose, but I was thinking maybe I could add Melissa in here, and since she has the blonde hair, I could basically change up her look a little bit to make her look a little more like Rose, you know? Give her that Rose personality. You get me? Give her that Rose feel, you know? So, Melissa would actually be there, and Deku would actually walk up to her immediately, asking her what her name is. And she tells him that her name is Melissa Shield. And Deku would actually recognize the name immediately, thinking, Melissa Shield, the daughter of Steve or some shit Shield, Aiden Shield. I don't know. Something Shield, the father of Melissa. She's like, yeah, as Zabo basically tells Deku to throw the ball, and Deku would be like, okay. He would launch the ball, and it would get about 2,000 meters, as the rest of the class would be extremely impressed. Deku would proceed to get off, and this is when Bakugo would appear. He would throw the ball, making it go 1,237 meters, as the class is just amazed by their quirks. Uraraka would get infinity, and in terms of the rest of the tests, Deku would proceed to get first place, Bakugo second, Momo third, Shoto fourth, and Melissa fifth. She would have actually used her amazing training and combat ability, since in this version, when Melissa heard that she was quirkless, she decided that she was going to do something about it. On top of being a super smart person, Melissa this time now is also going to be an amazing fighter. At this point, she's around that Rose level of fighting, so she's a badass, I'll tell you that much. She's definitely going to be a badass in the series. And Deku would actually walk up to her at the end of all the exams and ask her if she'd be down to grab a bite, as Melissa just looks at him and says, sure, why not? They would begin to walk out, and this is when Deku would actually ask her, like, hey, so I see that you are an amazing fighter. You want to maybe spar sometime? As Melissa would just look at him and be like, I don't know if you could keep up without using that little dragon form of yours. And Deku would be like, you'd be surprised. As they'd begin to flirt for a little bit, and Melissa and Deku would basically be chilling at a food shop, when all of a sudden Uraraka walks in, and she sees them both, and she gets a little bit heated. She gets like a little mad, like thinking, that's on me, bro. Like, what are you doing? Like, and Deku's like, oh, hey, like, what are you doing here? Uraraka's like, oh, nothing. I just came by to get some food. As she looks at Melissa with a little bit of a death stare, and Melissa just looks at her thinking, okay. As Melissa and Deku begin to keep having the date, and Uraraka's just sitting there, kind of thinking and scheming of ways to get rid of Melissa because she wants Deku. Now, this is when Deku and Melissa would actually go off, and they would actually end the night training on the top of Deku's building. They would actually end up sparring, and Melissa would actually get Deku to lose. Deku would actually lose to her, and Deku would be on the ground having Melissa on top of him, as Melissa would say, I guess you need that dragon form, don't you? As Deku would grab her and flip her, and he would get on top of her and say, no, I don't. They'd begin to look at each other in the eyes, and this is when they would get closer. As they would get closer and go in for a kiss, when suddenly Inko walks in. She's like, hey, Midoriya, I mean, Izuku, could you come down for... And she's like, whoa, like, who are you? As Melissa's just like, oh, I'm Melissa Shield. And Inko's like, oh, Melissa Shield, like David Shield, the inventor? And Melissa would be like, yeah, that's my father. They'd begin to have dinner, and that's where I'm gonna be leaving it off, boys. I know I left it on a little bit of a what happened during the dinner? What happened? But you know, I just figured I'd spice it up a little bit, add a little bit of a love triangle in there, you know. If you guys enjoyed this video, you guys are gonna have to smash 40 likes for the next part. But with that being said, Zether out.